On the 14th of September 2018, Dave Sharma wins pre-selection to stand in seat vacated by Malcolm Turnbull. And if you read down here, Liberal pre-selectors in Wentworth have snubbed the Prime Minister Scott Morrison's choice, opting for Malcolm Turnbull's preferred candidate. Fast forward to the Today Show this morning, 2 days before this by-election that Malcolm Turnbull had organised for this guy to be pre-selected, using his influence and that of his son in the Wentworth electorate. Let's see where we're at now.
Malcolm Turnbull endorsed you when you were pre-selected, but he hasn't campaigned for you. Why not?
So before this guy goes on with this nonsense, just a quick reminder that Turnbull donated $25,000 to the Labor Party. It just recently was defending his son for donating money to the Labor Party. And ever since he got into power, with the help of Goldman Sachs owned Channel 9, he has implemented Labor Party policies while he's been there as a Liberal Prime Minister. And the reason that he does that is that it raises the debt and lowers the GDP, which helps his international banker Goldman Sachs employers, and that's who he's working for. So when he got ousted, he's went to the plan of getting Labor back in as quickly as possible, with leaving no time for Morrison Abbott team to build up momentum and even stop the debt from going up for any period of time. So the reason why he endorsed, he said he was leaving politics altogether, but then jumped back in to endorse this doofus. Now this doofus here, he's working with Turnbull to lose this by-election. So that's why he agreed to be pre-selected, and Turnbull used all of his influence, Goldman Sachs money, in the Liberal Party policy room to get this doofus pre-selected. Now he's up against Kerryn Phelps. So the plan is for him to lose to Kerryn Phelps, and for then Kerryn Phelps to then go against the government, vote against them, and force a general election. It was always Turnbull's plan to hand over to the Labor Party at the next election anyway, because he only won the last one by one seat, and he knew he was going to lose. But he didn't want a period of time where Morrison and Abbott could gain support and also even stop the debt from going up. So that's why he has done this strategy of putting this doofus in to lose to force the election early.
Well, Malcolm has been supportive throughout this campaign. I've been in touch with him regularly, even within the last few days, but I respect his wishes and his desires not to get further involved in this campaign.
Now, the reason why Turnbull has put this guy in this place to then lose it and then not be on the campaign trail is he doesn't want to be part of a losing campaign. Because if anyone thinks that Turnbull is not coming back to Australian politics or Australian public life and start to screw us all over on behalf of Goldman Sachs, you're kidding yourself. He will be back. Right now he's in New York going through strategies, plans, and what he's going to do to come back. You just watch. Goldman Sachs are not going to back away from controlling our government. Now, Turnbull could have just let it go and not get involved at all with pre-selections, and he's not involved in the campaign, obviously, but they didn't want to take the chance because just have a quick look at Scott Morrison's choice to fight Kerryn Phelps. Now, it's interesting Malcolm Turnbull went against the appointment of a woman in favour of this doofus because in the past he said this. It's interesting you go against a pre-selection of this woman into the Liberal seat. Now, of course, his backflip to not campaign goes against what he said at the start when he said Sharma was the best chance to win. Well, Sharma was never the best chance to win, and they didn't want to win, and they certainly didn't want this woman getting pre-selected. So in this 2016 expose of Catherine O'Regan, you'll find they did not want her anywhere near the pre-selection because she probably would have had a good chance of winning when you look at her credentials. Now, I'm not going to read through any of them. You can pause it, read if you like, but she's been ex-deputy mayor. She's something to do with the top 50 corporations. She's worked with federal and state government ministers, so she's got a lot of experience. Look, I disagree entirely, but unfortunately, the world is a superficial place. And out on a hustings, who's going to probably get more photo opportunities and capture people's attention more when they're talking. That's unfortunate. That's how, look, if I could change it, I would. This is how it stands. Shock internal polling shows government losing Wentworth by election, which is by design. Shock internal Liberal polling shows coalition facing a disaster. Well, it'd be a huge embarrassment to the PM. Not really, because he wanted that girl. And it would be an embarrassment to Turnbull, but he's not campaigning. And look at these two. She knows it's been rigged. He knows it's been rigged. He's doing anything to try and win this election. He's just putting in a mediocre campaign and letting her run the show. This unappealing conscripted sellout is going to intentionally lose the election. Then we're going to have a general election before Christmas where this doofus is going to be Prime Minister. Now, that's going to be very short-lived. He's just a useful idiot to them, and he won't be Prime Minister for very long at all. They will run, 30 news polls or something to say that he's unpopular and he needs to go. And then, of course, Mr. Albanese, there he is on the right. He's then going to be the Prime Minister, and he's been their man all along. It's interesting, this photo, because Rudd was also one of the banker's men, and he did his job. He put the debt up as fast as he possibly could with, set-top boxes for old people, insulation in the roofs. That was a great scam, because there'd be like 100 units with just one roof, and they'd charge 100 times. Anyway, they didn't care because they wanted to get the debt up. So he did everything he possibly could. $1,000 to everyone to go and buy a TV from Harvey Norman. It's just ludicrous. But he did his job. But he's having trouble collecting his reward, because Rudd thought he was promised to be a big shot at the UN, to be a world player. That's what his bait was. But he hasn't quite got there yet. Maybe he's got to do some more work. But anyway, Albanese will be the Prime Minister. And then in 2025, guess he's going to make a triumphant return. It's go or thereabouts, 2024, 2025. That's right, Mr. Turnbull. Now, by then, the debt is going to be beyond ridiculous. They're going to bring in those emergency powers. The bail-in's going to happen. He's going to be there at the real crisis time when they cash in and try to take all our assets and everything. And that's when they're going to be using the shoot to kill laws, machine guns on the streets, arresting people, throwing them in jail on, the balance of probability that they're a terrorist, when really all they're trying to do is get our buddy back. So Turnbull's going to be back for that period.
You don't feel let down by Malcolm at all?
No.
No, Mr. Sharma, after he loses his pre-selection, this by-election, is probably going to go to a very, very lucrative job with one of the international banks that Turnbull has teed up for him. So he's not disappointed at all with the support he's getting from Mr. Turnbull. It's all what's been agreed to. Now, this guy, Turnbull, he's going to come back as... when Greece was trying to negotiate their bailouts, that's where you borrow money to pay interest on borrowed money. That's a position you want to be in. Well, that's what we're going to be in. Turnbull's going to come back as our saviour, the way this Goldman Sachs Greek finance minister did, make it out like he was doing him a big favour. And he's going to say, look, I know these international banks and I can work with them and I can get us a really good deal on our bailouts, when really this is where, once you reach bailout, that's it, it's all over. You end up like Greece. So, all right, that'll be in about 2025, I would anticipate. We'll have 2 terms of Labor debt going through the roof, and then they'll be tossed out. Everything's going to collapse, and that's when they will take control. Righto, that's it.